Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be doing another viewer email question and answer type video. These videos, for some reason, are very popular. You guys like to watch me rant. So we put a question over on Facebook, ask me anything, and we'll try to answer them. Now, we've done a few of these before. A lot of these questions that we got, just looking over the list here, doing a quick cursory glance, there are a lot of them have already been answered. So if you could, check those out. We'll try to answer some of them that are real frequent, but some of those we might skip if we've answered them 5 or 6 times before in viewer mail videos. But I realize we're always getting new subscribers here, so we'll address most of them. What I'm going to do is just go from the first person that asked the question and go all the way down the list. We're going to try to keep these sort of a reasonable time anyway, so that way they're watchable, and do a multi-part series from the one question that we put out there. So first and foremost, Andrew puts out there your quick thought on NSW switching to the Glock. So that's, the guys who are the SEALs, some of the special boat guys, stuff like that over in the Navy, switching over to the Glock 19 as opposed to the MK25 variant, which was their standard for a number of years. So initial thoughts on it. Glock 19 is a fantastic pistol. You guys have seen multiple reviews. I'll probably be doing another one this year on one of the new variants, but awesome gun. It's small and light enough to be concealed. It's large enough to shoot like a full-size handgun, carries decent amount of rounds, and is super reliable, particularly when using very quality ammunition, particularly in this case being NATO spec ammunition. If Glocks ever have issues, it tends to be with lower powered ammunition, and certainly NATO spec is not that. So a very reliable, multi-use gun that can be used in a lot of ways. And if you're a special operator, one thing that you also have to consider is weight. So weighing yourself down. A few ounces don't add up to much until you put a few ounces on a few times, and then they add up to a lot. So saving some weight over the MK25 certainly is a good thing. And the Glock, again, we talked about it. It has an awesome track record, and certainly should serve them very well. Next up, opinion on mounting a Surefire G2X LE on a defensive rifle. And that's Tristan writing that in. Absolutely have at it. They're not weapon lights per se in the Surefire line, but the G2X series, very durable. Anything, 308 and below, it should handle just fine, and it'll perform the role well. So by all means, if that's what's in your budget, I recommend it. Next up, Jesus or Jesus writes in your thoughts on the Tavor as a go-to rifle in 16 and 18-inch variants. If you guys have seen my Tavor review, I speak very highly of it. I speak very highly of it in a lot of different rifle videos out there as a comparison type of rifle. Obviously, the weight being in the rear makes it very easy to shoot well. It's dead nuts reliable as any other type of rifle out there, at least in my experience. Accurate. It's plenty accurate for what you need it to do. I generally get 1.5 to 2 inch groups out of it, depending on what we're shooting and the conditions that day. Really, by all means, the Tavor is an excellent rifle when you compare it to, say, an AR or AK-74. It'll hold its own with any of those. Those would probably be my top 3 sort of defensive use carbines right there. The order would probably vary by the day, but I'd say those 3 are probably going to be my personal top 3 choices. Obviously, the Tavor offers some advantages and disadvantages. The trigger is a little bit gritty and heavier than some of the other 2, but of course, it's a short overall package, which is nice for maneuvering in tight quarters. So by all means, if the Tavor interests you for a go-to rifle, I recommend it by all means. Very good rifle. Next up, Kyle writes, will you ever do a review of your Mustang? I'm sure there's plenty of guys that want to see it. I don't know. Maybe on the B channel. For those of you that don't know, we do have a B channel, the Mr. Guns and Gear B channel, where I tend to put up random videos or videos that aren't quite up to the quality or material that's on this channel. So maybe over there, but probably not on the main channel. It's a gun channel. We try to keep it to guns and gear over here. Next up, Pepper Jackson writes in, what got you started into firearms? So told the story a few times, but for those that don't know, I did not grow up around firearms like many of you did at all. There was no guns in my house. My mom is a communist, and she's a great lady, don't get me wrong, but she is absolutely a card-carrying communist that believes that people shouldn't have guns and things like that. So no firearms in my household. I'm going through the police academy, shot our gun for the first time, and of course I was hooked at the first trigger pull. But from then on, I loved them, and have been shooting them ever since, which has been, 2 decades now. So again, I didn't grow up with them like a lot of you guys did, so I didn't have that sort of like father interaction with firearms that some of you guys did. But yeah, no, I've loved them ever since I've handled them. I just got started a little bit late. Next up is going to be Charles. He said, do you think body armor has a legitimate place in people's inventory? Absolutely, without question. Do you need it? No. Is it nice to have? Yes. There's nothing that affects accuracy more than being shot. It's very difficult to shoot accurately when you're being shot and rounds are penetrating your body. I've said that before and people think I'm joking. I'm not. There's actual been scientific studies on that. So, and I agree with it, just psychologically and physiologically as well. So especially if you think of the type of wounds people tend to get defensive encounters, either with a rifle when you're up like this or with a pistol when you're like this, rounds tend to hit your forearms, your chest, whatever the case may be, and it's difficult to shoot accurately. If you have armor preventing your chest from being hit and rounds going into your vital organs, it by all means will allow you to survive as well as return fire more effectively than you would without it. So yeah, if you have the budget and the capability to carry on armor, I know a lot of folks health-wise can't, but if you can, do it. By all means, it's definitely recommended. Trey writes in, do you have an interest in milcer firearms? Not sure I've seen you review any of them yet. So yes, I do have an interest in them, and we have reviewed plenty of them. I realize I have, you know, well over 700 videos here on the channel, which is a good bit and can be daunting to look through. But yeah, if you guys search, I have plenty of Mosin variant reviews out there. A lot of others. I have some Grand videos. I also have, not a review on the Grand yet. The Grand's been in many videos. I have reviews of multiple Comblock sort of surplus pistols in 9x18, as well as some 7.62 by 25. A lot of different ones out there. Not a ton. It's not like a focus of my channel, but it is absolutely something I'm interested in, something I enjoy. Just the history behind the guns, and most of the milcer guns are milcer for a reason. They are selected because they're durable and reliable guns, which is two of the things I prioritize when looking at firearms. So yeah, absolutely have a interest in it for sure. Next up, Mike writes in, conceal or open carry. So for those of you who don't know, I live in North Carolina. In North Carolina, open carry is perfectly legal and practiced all the time. Going about town here, I see people open carrying, and it's not unusual at all here. So that's the case. However, I do not open carry. Generally speaking, I don't see the need to. There's, of course, pros and cons to it. Like anything, you have weapon retention issues, but of course, speed is easier. It's much more comfortable. By all means, I believe anyone who wants to open carry should be able to open carry. And I would hope that as a responsible citizen, you'd be prepared and trained to handle some of the downsides of it. So, yep, by all means, I don't do it. I do conceal carry all the time, like 100% of the time. But so I don't open carry, though. All right, David writes in, eotech fanboy here. Do you think eotech will bounce back and fix the issue of the MOA loss due to the temperature drop? So for those of you who don't know, there was a recent lawsuit from the government versus eotech, and eotech had to admit to some of the problems in their optics, and now they're offering refunds. So the deal is, all the research I've seen sort of points to the pre-XPS series. Now, I don't know that for a fact that the XPS series hasn't had problems. I can't say that. What I can say is the pre-XPS series has had problems. So my personal eotechs have never had problems with the XPS series. I don't own any pre-XPS series, and that's, if you guys watched my 553 review, I sort of mentioned that in there. There are some known issues even before this with the pre-XPS series, which is why they came out with the XPS series, right? So do I think eotech will bounce back? I think they can. Well, whether they will or not, there's a lot of market forces there and things like that, so I'm not sure, but I think they can. And I mean, if you like them and you haven't had any issues with it, I mean, I say keep on keeping on. But you know, if you want to send it in too, go ahead. Either way, you know, whatever you feel comfortable with is what you should do, in my opinion. Next one is, what did you do in the Army? So this goes back to what I said in the intro of the video. A lot of people always ask a lot of similar questions, so I don't talk about that for a myriad of reasons, but one of them is like the easiest way to kind of think about, I don't talk about what I do, what I've done, because I try to keep the focus here on, you know, firearms and reviewing them. I also think that, let's say this is an example I think I used in a previous video. Let's say I was a cook, or let's say I was a Delta operator, right? Either way, in my opinion, it wouldn't matter what I did, because if I'm reviewing a mechanic TP9 SA. I mean, experience with firearms helps, but being in the military doesn't mean you have experience with firearms beyond a basic level, nor that you have a knowledge of firearms. And also, I want to add on to that I think in our industry, if you will, the firearms industry, there sort of is an intimidation factor. If you look around the country, there's, you know, what, 1 to 2% of the military, or people in the country, I should say, serve in the military. But in terms of gun owners, it's a percentage is, you know, is relatively small as well, the overall percentage anyway. And I think that a lot of people just sort of assume, well, I'm not in the military, I've never been a police officer, I've never been a federal agent, whatever the case may be, so I can't get to that level, and that's absolutely not true. You should not be intimidated. I can tell you there are plenty of people that I served with in the military, both in the Army and the Air Force, that can't shoot for crap and don't know anything about guns beyond basic maintenance level type stuff, and basic employment as well, obviously. But I mean, the kind of things we do here, testing for accuracy, things like that, there's people that can't qualify with their weapons in the military, which is a very simple, basic standard. Never mind, so some of the stuff that we do here. So I don't talk about it because I don't want it to be an intimidating factor. I'm not ashamed of it at all, of course, but it's not something that I discuss here for a myriad of reasons. So that's just one of them, of course. Next up, Eric writes in, Sig P226 or Beretta 92 FS. Which do you like more and why? So people ask me these kind of questions all the time because I review a lot of things, and most of the stuff I review here I generally like, because I wouldn't review stuff I don't like. Normally, of course, there are a few negative reviews out there that I've done, but I try not to focus on the negative rather than the positive. These two guns are both guns that I reviewed positively, and we'll probably be reviewing some new variants this year. And more likely than not, they'll be good. If they're not good, I will certainly tell you. But I mean, these guns have a long track record. They tend to be very good guns. So people always say, you know, two great things. Tell me which one I should get. My answer oftentimes is I don't know. Both of these guns are super reliable, super accurate, super durable, easy to clean, easy to shoot well. Both double action, single action. The big variant there is going to be a slide mounted safety. The grip, whether or not it fits your hand. And some folks I know on the SIGs, they have trouble with the decocker or decocking it due to the ergonomics of the pistol. Other than that, you pick. They're both great guns. They're priced similarly, of course, depending on the model, but there's no right answer to these kinds of questions because they're both great. I recommend both. I've reviewed multiple variants of both. Both awesome. So no answer there. Sorry about that, guys, but it's just how it is. So with that one, we're going to close this particular video off. Of course, we'll be doing a few more here from this series of questions that we got. Hope you guys found it entertaining. If you guys aren't following me on Facebook where this question was posted, you can post down below at the Facebook link here for the next one, whatever that is. I'm not sure when it'll be, but of course, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I truly appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next video.